Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. Today, I want to talk to you guys about fantasy RPGs, and why fantasy RPGs are so beloved. I know there are some gamers out there, well, no duh, there are people out there who play video games that don't like the same video games. Whoa, mind-blowing, am I right? Not everyone likes the same games. And I know there are some people out there who just don't like medieval fantasy RPGs. Games like The Elder Scrolls, Dragon Age, The Witcher. There are people out there who just don't get why others like these games. It's not their type of game, and they just don't understand why the medieval fantasy RPG is so beloved. So maybe, hopefully, I can explain why in this video. So, first reason, let's tackle this from a psychological perspective. Think back to when you're a kid. When you're young, still in grade school, elementary, and you're being read and told these stories of knights, princesses, wizards, dragons. When this stuff is shared with you, told to you as a kid, your mind runs rampant with adventures of creating your own fantasy world, of living in other fantasy worlds, of living out those adventures, of brave warriors and magicians who go out to save the day. That stuff leaves an impression on you as a kid, and even as you get older and you're trying to be all tough, gruff, and mature, all that kiddie shit isn't for me. I'm into dark, epic stories. It doesn't matter how old you get, that childlike fascination and imagination, it just never leaves you, no matter the age, whether you want to admit it or not. And these games, the Elder Scrolls games, the Dragon Age games, the Witcher games, allow you to kind of sort of live out those fairy tales. Granted, not nearly as dark as those games are, but still the same sense, the same vibe. You're going through this fantastical, otherworldly land, filled with creatures and magic, and it's all yours to explore and learn about, adventure through, save the world. These games help you live out childlike fantasies. Dopamine to the brain, you know? Alrighty then, reason number 2. This one's not as psychological. This is more of an objective fact than anything. While you are completely entitled to your opinion to like or dislike the stories found in these games, you cannot objectively deny that the stories are extensive, elaborate, and well written. Everybody enjoys an intriguing plotline, and the Elder Scrolls games, the Dragon Age games, and the Witcher games have this in spades, my friends. The main story quests, the side quests, the character backgrounds, the lore, so much damn lore. These worlds really do have stories to tell, lives of their own. And you want to learn everything about these worlds because they're so fantastical and different, and they tell a unique and compelling plot with unique and interesting characters. That's the power of Bethesda, BioWare, and CD Projekt Red for you. Those guys know how to tell a story. I'm sorry, everyone likes a good story. Everyone loves a good story. And fantasy RPGs honestly have some of the best stories to be found in gaming. While yes, other genres such as science fiction also have great dynamic, epic stories in them, absolutely, the fantasy RPGs, however, have the addition of magic, a lack of advanced technology, and just the bonuses and downsides to living in a medieval era, which can make the setting, the premise, and the plot all the more interesting and different. Now, I'm not saying fantasy worlds and fantasy RPGs, just the medieval fantasy genre hasn't become a bit cliched. I mean, elves and dwarves are kind of stuck in this rut where elves are nature lovers and dwarves live in mines. That cliche is kind of like embedded into fantasy now, and that's basically the roles dwarves and elves now fill, which is kind of embarrassing. I mean, it's a fantasy world. Be fantastical. But hey, there are games that have a different enough spin on it, that are extensive enough with their lore and backstory and world building that it works, like with Skyrim and with Dragon Age. Reason number 3, the whole role-playing aspect of the fantasy RPG. With most fantasy RPGs, excluding a few games such as The Witcher, you usually create your own character and make your own choices. You decide whether to be good or evil, to steal or to give, to kill or to save. The fantasy RPG gives you power in both your decision making and in combat. Even if you're a sci-fi guy, even if you don't like fantasy or RPGs, even you have to admit, there's a charm to the action found in fantasy worlds. Swords swinging, magic blasting, dragons breathing fire. I mean, seriously, dragons just breathing fire. Seeing a dragon just breathe fire is the coolest thing next to bacon. That's right, I said it. I'm an enormous dragon geek and nerd, and I happily admit it. I friggin' love dragons, man. Back on topic. Being able to actually roleplay in these fantasy worlds, and sometimes being given the choice to actually affect the world as a whole, is an addicting and enticing experience. While I am not a big fan or player of World of Warcraft, one of the things that keeps players coming back next to all the looting and grinding is the knowledge and knowing your individual actions can affect the world around for both you and players alike. Why do you think people love BioWare RPGs so much, Mass Effect and Dragon Age included? Because in these games you are given big, epic choices that affect the world, that affect the characters, that affect the story. Same for Skyrim and The Witcher, in fact. Actually, most fantasy RPGs give you dire consequences. Epic, grand-scale choices that affect everything around you. And yes, that is absolutely true for other RPGs and other genres, absolutely. But there's something special about the fantasy RPG. With the addition of this medieval setting, this medieval way of thinking, the heavy implementation of monarchy in government, the importance of religion at the time, the makeshift use of the environment, and of course magic. Just so many unique and fantastical elements that you can't help but feel drawn to it, to explore, to roleplay in these worlds, these medieval fantasy worlds. And so those were at least 3 reasons, my reasons, one of the few reasons. I mean, there are many more reasons, but I think this video would start to drag on if I went into every single reason I played fantasy RPGs. But for now, I think that's where I'll end the video. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did like the video, if you liked my opinion, the commentary, the gameplay, the subject matter, if you liked anything and everything about the video, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved with the video if you hit the like button. Please leave a comment. What are your thoughts on fantasy RPGs, the fantasy RPGs I mentioned? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions of anything related to this video in the comments section below. I love reading comments. I don't get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. And finally, I am the Gamertron. I love video games, and I love talking about video games. And if that's something that interests you, maybe consider supporting me by subscribing to my channel. Anyways, guys, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.